Our next guest is a giant in her community, literally. Nkechy Ezeh was honored at the 2016 Giants Banquet for local contributions to early childhood education. Accolades that were echoed a few months later when the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce named her its Nonprofit Champion of the Year. For her day job, Nkechy is Associate Professor of Education at Aquinas College, and in her spare time, she is the CEO of Early Learning Neighborhood Collaborative, which we'll learn about momentarily. Nkechy, it's a pleasure to welcome you to Feel Like You Belong.
Thank you so much, and I do feel like I belong. Thanks.
When you came here in 1986, you were following your husband who had a job here. He had to do some special preparation to get you used to the idea that Michigan is a little bit colder than southern Nigeria. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. In addition to talking about it, I wasn't really comprehending the idea of snow. He literally went to a refrigerator, the freezer, get an ice block and crushed it up to show me this is what snow would look like. Still, my brain did not get it because as soon as he came out, it was already melting. So if it's already melting, why do we have this much snow that you have to literally shovel it? Yeah.
Yeah. It didn't sink in that indeed the whole state was a freezer.
Yes, it did not. Yeah.
So you didn't know what to expect about a lot of things beyond the weather. What kinds of cultural things were just you couldn't wrap your head around until you got here?
Well, just hearing a little bit about the snow literally through my brain, I got messed up a little bit. So how do people live? How do they operate? How do you drive? And what about school and all those kind of things? But what are the people like? I know what Nigerians are like. We're very loud, we're very sociable, we're literally in your face. You know, we're family. You could go visit people without calling them ahead of time to let them know that you're coming. So I'm just trying to figure that out. How do I belong? How will I fit in into the whole culture? The whole greeting part of it. You know, when you wake up in the morning, you see an adult, you say, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma." How would that translate into American culture? And do I still get to be myself and maintain my identity and also fitting into this new country? So those are the things that were going through my brain.
A lot of times when Americans see each other, they're just sort of passing and it's just, you know, business, get to work.
Yeah, I still don't get it. And I've been in America now for a long time and I still don't get it. Because when I see people, the thing in me is to say, "Good morning, sir. Good morning, ma." But sometimes when you say that, people look at you like, "Oh, I don't know you." I get this feeling like you have to have a relationship with somebody here in America before you could greet them. Otherwise, it just doesn't fit in. So walking across the hall and walking by not saying, all people will say hi. Hi to me is a little cold, you know, so yeah.
So it takes a while to adjust to that.
Yes.
Yeah, something's wrong.
Something is wrong, your brain feels.
You're feeling, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about sort of, you need to make an appointment before you stop by somebody's house.
Yeah.
Because in Nigeria, you just stop by.
Nigerians after church, you know, you're driving by, you pop in, ring the doorbell, knock on the door, somebody open the door, "Oh, hi, how are you? Come in." And immediately you're being entertained, a drink or food,
start
whatever.
Cooking.
Yeah, start cooking. But here you literally have to call somebody, have an appointment. If I come over to your house right now, you know, maybe you get it because you've traveled, but most people, even to your neighbor's house, you knock at the door, ring the doorbell, they'll look at you like, "Can I help you?" And your brain is thinking, "Yeah, let me come in and we can sit down." But in Nigeria, you are welcomed right away. You're in a neighborhood, you take time to come. And if you come and I'm not there, then I'm not there. But if I'm there, hey, you know, we have a small party going on right there.
So I think part of that is because Americans see time as very rigidly organized, and a lot of the world sees time as a little bit more flexible. And
yeah.
It's the relationship first and not focus on the tasks.
You're right, you're right. And in Nigeria too, you are literally where you are surrounded by people that you know and you build a relationship. I grew up with that. That's how you build a relationship, by just stopping by. You know, it's still interesting to me that people in our neighborhood, I don't go over there because you have to get the phone number, you have to call them. If I have to do all that, then I'm just going to stay. But I guess I need to do a better job with that too.
Yeah. Cross-cultural competence.
Yes,
right?
yes.
It does go both ways.
Yes, it goes both ways. Yeah.
Sure, sure. When we were talking earlier, you brought up the fact that racism doesn't really exist in Nigeria. Can you talk about that?
Well, in every country, you have your own form of some kind of oppression, or people just, stereotype, or people don't understand. For instance, I'm Igbo from the southeastern, and you have the Hausas and you have the Yoruba. So there's still a little tension between all that. But this kind of overt racism that we have in America, we don't have that in Nigeria. So it was a little hard for me when I came to America just to see that. Just because you have an accent, ooh, it has its own. It's almost like you're already marked in your forehead. You don't know anything. You're stupid, and we need to look at you differently. The funny thing is that I was also thinking that Americans had accent. Why can't they talk like I'm talking? I have British English. Why can't they talk like I'm talking? So it was really interesting that they're thinking that of me, and I'm thinking that of them. The sharp divide between the black and white was one thing I never really imagined or thought about until I get into United States. So you could see that, and my brain struggled with that a lot because it's literally out there. You are defined by where you came from versus who you are. You also defined by the neighborhood that you live in and the school that you go to. So it's more open in America. And I didn't quite understand it or know what to make of it.
Well, you had mentioned that your father was a community leader, was respected, was a businessman, was an elder, and being his daughter, you were accorded a certain amount of respect. And growing up with that identity, then when you approach other people, you expect that there will be some kindness or some civility, and then you walk into situations here and
it's different. So yes, definitely. Growing up in Nigeria, my father was a tribal leader. So he was more really like the intermediary between the village and the government or the church. So most of the decision, I see that happening in my compound, my daddy's home and all that. So my dad was highly regarded. We grew up being very proud of ourselves. We know who we are. My father being a respected person in the community, we got that kind of respect too. So it reminds me of the music, the team music for cheer. You want to be where everybody knows your name. In Nigeria, in my village, everybody knows me. Everybody knows our name. We get that respect. And then coming to America, people don't know who you are. And they treat you based on what they think you are or you should be. And I really struggled with that a lot.
Based on a stereotype? Based
on a stereotype, or the image that they knew of Nigeria is really what they saw on the TV, like the Tarzan type of movie and all that. So they really didn't understand what Nigeria is all about or what Nigeria looked like. So, but I know that. So I struggled with it. I can't even imagine what it would do with the young children that are coming up now, because they know who they are, they know where they're coming from, and then to get in here and people don't understand you or don't respect you because you have an accent or you're from a third world country. Whatever that is.
And you're going, hey, I have a PhD.
yeah.
I'm actually fairly smart.
Yeah.
Sure. I want to switch topics a little bit, but connected to your parents, because in the program for the Giants Award, where you were honored for your educational leadership, you gave recognition to your parents, appreciation, because they had really brought you up with a sense of self-empowerment, you can do it, you are a leader, and you had a really striking moment when you came here and first started working with young people. Can you talk about that?
Yes. Growing up with my dad, my dad was literally a giant in his own, so many people, dignitaries, if they would come in our village, we stop at our house first to talk to my dad. He was really the intermediary between them. So I grew up with that. I was exposed to informal leadership, because also in Nigeria, women are not all that highly regarded, but my dad knew better. And he wanted to do things differently. So he would still bring me along to show me things. So I was learning so much from my dad, and my dad indirectly will get you to do things. For instance, if he's driving somewhere and I'm in a car, he say, we'll stop and we'll pick up some young girls or boys that are not in school. Let's just pick them. Maybe you could go to school with them. And I say, Daddy, why? Well, just maybe they want to go with you, but I don't want to go with them. Well, let's just see. They may not even want to go with you, but let's see. So my dad exposing me to informal leadership, exposing me to how to do things, how to enter a space and really be my authentic self, but not too much. Because he always know that I'm still a girl growing up in a male-dominated culture, right? Mm-hmm. So my dad would do in a very subtle way. My mom was on the other side, really very quiet, very shy, you know, really didn't do a whole lot because in her own time, women were not aspiring to do much. What I remember, my mom is always nudging, you know, kind of giving me the nonverbal cue, like, go ahead, you could do it, you could do it. My dad also introduced me to the Reverend Sisters, the nuns, you know, being Catholic, because within the Reverend Sister community, you see a medical doctor, you see a teacher, you see a lawyer and all that, yet we were not afforded that kind of opportunity as regular girls and all that. So being around the Reverend Sisters really helped me. I think it was my dad's way of showing me what is possible for women.
And then when you came here and first started working with children, you saw that a lot of them didn't have those role models.
Yes.
Was that your inspiration then for starting the ELNC?
Yeah. My dad, I give my dad credit a lot because he was literally my mentor, my coach, my friend, the person who told me I can do it, I can be anything I want to be. And so when I came to United States, really seeing children not having that kind of somebody behind them saying, it's okay, you could do it. But also seeing that our society, our community were not rising up to pick these children up.
And we really need to raise children up as a community, as a village, as the metaphor goes. We need to wrap up in just a little bit. So I want to talk about your work at the ELNC. You just celebrated your 5th birthday with a wonderful party. The mayor was there and spoke, a real celebration. I was struck by a couple of the numbers that you gave. And the powerful thing is you're not just blustering in, you're actually based on a learning model. And what is the number about what your original findings were for preschool preparation or lack of preparation in Grand Rapids?
Well, ELNC is really, when we started, well, before we started, in 2009, Bernard Taylor, the then superintendent of Grand Rapids Public School, in his State of the School address, said that 83% of the children in our targeted neighborhood, in our city neighborhood, were coming to Grand Rapids Public School not ready for kindergarten.
4 out of 5 kids not ready.
Yes, not ready for kindergarten. That was really a lot, you know, when you think about it. So in 2010, W.K. Kellogg Foundation commissioned me to really look into that. What's going on? Where are the children going? And all those kind of. So after doing the current reality research, I found out that the reason they were not ready for kindergarten was because only 2 out of 10 children had access to quality preschool program. Now, the worst environment you could put a child is a child who's already living in poverty. And most of the mothers that are the primary caregivers did not even have their own high school diploma. And now I don't even have access to quality preschool education. So we were kind of really, we have the children in the community and they're not ready for kindergarten, but we're not doing anything about it. We just accepted it. So ELNC is about changing the status quo. We wanted to reverse that trend. We wanted to make sure that we have a clean pipeline and really make sure that children are ready for kindergarten. And we started in 2011 really renovating spaces, building preschool programs so that children can have access to that in their neighborhood, which is very, very important. Because prior to ELNC, the few children that had access to preschool program were going out of their neighborhood. And parents, some parents didn't like that, children didn't like that. If you are removed out of your neighborhood, you walk down slack, you're not proud. When you get in there, being a little child, every little thing gets on your neck. You smile, I'm just gonna look at you while you smile. I'm not interested. And when I start touching and fidgeting, the next thing that happens is that you get in timeout because you're not listening. It's the environment. The environment, if you're in an environment where you don't belong, where you don't feel like you belong, it sends a message in your brain that, you know, something is not right here, and you are just not yourself.
So what's really important is that this is a place-specific program, so that kids look around my school, my neighborhood, you know, I have a sense of community and,
Yep.
and immediate ownership.
Yep.
One thing that really struck me at the event was you talked about children's brain development.
Yes.
The fact that 90% of brain development happens before kindergarten.
Yes.
And if those kids don't get that stimulation early on,
Yes.
by the time they get to kindergarten,
Yeah.
they're already behind the 8 ball.
Yes.
And then it just snowballs downhill from there.
Yes. You know, I wish in America we have so much body of research, but we don't apply it, we don't use it. So if we know that 90% of children's brain fully develop before they turn 5 and go to kindergarten, what are we doing to make sure that we put children in an environment that is nurturing them and nourishing them and also stimulating them? When you come out and what you see is just poverty, nobody stimulating you, nobody talking to you and all that, and then you go to school, we expect you to magically be ready.
Right.
So if you're not ready for kindergarten, walk it backwards. You were not even ready when you were 4, 3, 2, 1. You were not even ready when you were born.
Sure, sure.
So, yeah.
We need to wrap up, but as a call to action, what would you like our viewers to know, and what would you like them to help out in taking this in a direction?
What I would like your audience to know, but also parents and especially in a vulnerable community to know, is that preschool do matter. And we need to invest in preschool. We also want parents to know that it's not just so much the preschool, the setting of it, but it's everything you do for a child by the time they were 0 to 5 years of age matter. How you talk to a child, how you create environment. And again, it's not the amount of time you spend with a child, but it's the quality of time. Even if it's 5 minutes that you're having this interactive conversation with a child, it matters. Another thing I would like, because I'm also coming from the academia, Aquinas College, is for us to know that all the teacher prep institution, Grand Valley, Aquinas, Cornerstone, and all that, we need to look at it from both sides. It's not just getting teachers ready to teach children, but we owe it to ourselves and to our community to make sure that children are coming to our teachers ready to learn. It's the two equation that I really never fully embraced until I got into early childhood education, that while I'm at Aquinas College teaching our students to learn, I need to make sure that the community is also getting children ready so that when they come out to teach, the children are ready and there's no undue stress put on the children and also the teachers.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
We're going to have to leave it there, but this has been such a delight having you and sharing your message with our audience. Thank you for coming by.
Thank you so much for having me.
You bet.
Aggression is part of human civilization. It's part of human history.
Centuries and centuries.
People have always moved from one place to the other. And when you look at some of the global processes as far as economics and politics, people are going to move no matter what.